Hey everybody, this is Robert Burke. Welcome to episode number 33 of When to Play, and today we're going to be talking about a new board game that I just got in the mail. That was a Kickstarter game that I funded, that I backed a while ago, and it's called Mars Needs Mechanics. You'll see the artwork is this really cool kind of retro steampunk art. And the premise of the game is that you are working for the British government and you are trying to get a spaceship to Mars. But the environment is this kind of steampunky environment. Now, the theme and the artwork I like very much. I think the artwork and the graphic design in this game is superb. But the theme is really, it's a pasted-on theme. It's really not a game where you really feel like you're sending people to Mars at all. It's really an economic game. So it could have been done with any theme at all, as long as you were buying and selling some type of good. The game would have worked equally well. I do like the way they themed it, however. It just makes it a little more interesting than if it was, bananas and coconuts, or if it was, option trading or something like that. It could have been done with any of those things that you can buy and sell. But here they they made it a little more fun and a little more whimsical and a little more interesting. For example, some of the goods that you're going to be buying and selling in the game. It really is an economic game where you're buying goods, trying to buy goods low, and you're trying to sell them high to have the most money at the end of the game. But some of the goods are like wire. There's an aether tube. There is a boiler. There is scrap metal, which is kind of like a wild card that you start with 2 of these at the beginning of the game. But you cannot earn any more of those. Once you spend those are gone. There's a lens. And you can see the artwork is very nice, very well done. The graphic design is excellent. There are gears, cards. The component quality is really good as well. These are nice coated linen cards that come in the game. They've got some nice cardboard tokens. The money are these cogs, which is very cool. I thought it was a great idea and very thematic. It fit very well. The first player token is this cool wooden rocket ship meeple. Then you've got some wooden nuts. They look like nuts that you use to track the prices of the different goods. And these come with stickers as well. I think that might have been a stretch goal that they hit or something for the stickers. You don't really need the stickers, and I'm not a fan of stickers in games. I kind of hate them, actually. But that's just my own personal opinion. I hate having to stick them on components because I know they're not going to last. Stickers just don't last when you stick them on wooden components that you're touching all the time. They're going to wear out quickly, and plus it's a pain to put them on. So I did go ahead and put them on, but I know they're going to wear out if I play this game in any amount greater than 10 or 12 times. So you've also got a nice illustrated rule book that comes in the game. It is full color. It explains very well how to play the game. It also has some card clarification sheets that come in the game on some of the mechanisms that they're called mechanisms that you can build with the components that you buy and sell. You can build these mechanisms, and there's some more text on these sheets around those that will answer questions. So the rule book is good. It's not great. I think there's there's small things though that could have been a little bit clearer. But the rule book is fine. It really is fine. The board is a small board. And this is basically just where you're going to be tracking these are all the components on this side of the board that you're going to be buying and selling. So when you buy a component, you're going to be buying them. They're going to be cards, and they're going to go on the bottom of the board, and there's going to be 8 of these put out on a turn. So if I choose to buy, for example, these gears, then I will have there is a token that goes with it. Like here is the lens token. Like if I bought a lens, then I would move this to the top, to the first position on this track that goes around the board. So everybody is going to have an opportunity to buy on their turn. They can buy one of the items, one of the components, one of the cards that is on the bottom of the board. When they do, that component moves to the front of the line on the outside of this track here. The next thing they can do is they can choose to build or break down one of these mechanisms. And I'll show you these. And these are kind of neat. And you're going to start with 4 of these mechanisms in the game. You're going to put them next to the board. And this can change the game and give it more replayability because there's a bunch of mechanisms included, but you only use 4 of them in a game. So depending on which ones you pick, or if you pick randomly, the abilities you're going to have during that game are going to depend on those mechanisms that you pick. So the game is going to be different, a little bit different every time you play it. So that was good. That was a good idea, I think, by the developer to have those different mechanisms that change the game a little bit. And obviously, if this game is ever expanded, they can add more mechanisms. They can test those mechanisms, and they can, you can really add to the replayability of the game over time. Now, this is not a heavy game. That's one thing you probably need to understand. It's a lighter, maybe you might call it light medium economic kind of Euro game, but it's good because it's quick. It's not overly long, so it's okay. I think the weight is okay for the length of the game. It goes very quick, and you have some real decisions to make during the game. It's very interesting because when you're buying cards, the components, when you buy components, the early ones that are bought are going to move to the front of the line, but people are going to continue to buy cards, so components are going to move in value ahead of them. So the ones that you buy early, or those components that are not bought, are going to decrease in value. So you really need to come up with a strategy to buy low and sell high. If you buy a component you need to make a set, because that's how you're going to score points in this game, is you're going to need to have a set of cards, and you're going to need to have at least 3. So at the in the final phase of each round, you're going to be able to trade in sets of cards for points based on the value that they are on this track. And this track changes, the value again changes depending on when they are bought. If they're bought early, they're going to be last in line, they're going to be -1. Or if they are bought later, they're going to move to the front of the line and they're going to be +1. So the values are going to be changing. So you want to move the items up that you want to sell later for more points, but if you buy the components that you need too early, they're not going to increase in value, they're going to decrease in value. So it's a diametrically opposed thing. You need to get maybe a third magnet, because if you only have 2 of these, you can't sell them. And at the end of the game, if you're stuck with 2 magnets, you get nothing for that. You need at least 3. Now, your scrap cards you can use as a wild card, but you're not going to get points for it. So if I had a scrap card, I could sell these 2 magnets with a scrap and get 2 times whatever the magnet value is during that phase of the game. But like I said, if I need 1 magnet and there's 1 magnet on the board available for purchase and it's my turn, I know if I'm going first especially, I know if I buy it, the value is going to decrease. So I'm not going to get as much when I turn in this set. But if I don't get that magnet, I'm not going to get anything. And if somebody else picks it up before me. But if I pass on that magnet and it comes back around to me again, I might be able to buy it on my second time around the table. And then it's going to be worth more for me at the end. So it's very interesting decisions. You've got that kind of, oh my goodness, do I buy that now to lock down my set? Or do I risk it and gamble that I can pick it up later and make more money when I sell them? So that's kind of how the economic part of the game goes. And it's a very simple thing, but there's some really good decisions to make in that mechanic. Now, the mechanism cards are very cool. Like I was saying, these all do different things, like the lockbox here. You would have to spend these 2 components on the bottom to build it, and you'd put a counter on that to show that you identify that you have bought that. So when you build this mechanism, pay 1 cog to the bank and identify a single component card in the market. only you can purchase that component. So you see how that could vary, that could help you a lot in trying to collect your sets of cards so you can sell them and make more cogs than everybody else. You can also break these down on your turn. Now it's optional. You have to buy a component or pass on your turn. But this step is optional. You can build one of these mechanisms that's available, or you can break one down that you've built. If you break it down, you take your token off of it and you get these components back. So these kind of act as a bank too, where you can bank some components that you can get back later to sell to complete your sets. So that's a kind of neat little thing, and it gives it just enough interest to make this a good, light, short game. I think this game, I want to see what it says on the box about the time. I think this game you can play 30 minutes probably. It says 45 minutes. I think that's just on the money. I think once people learn how to play it, it can go quicker than 45 minutes. I think you're looking at a 30-minute to 45-minute game max. And the artwork is enjoyable. The component quality is high. The theme, yeah, it's pasted on, but any theme would kind of feel pasted on. This makes it more interesting, but it is not a thematic game. So if you are somebody who really wants the theme to come through, then that you're not going to find that here. If you like deep Euro games, if you want a lot of strategy in your games, then this is not for you either. This is a light to medium weight game, so you need to understand that. If you are looking for a game that plays quicker, an economic based Euro type game that plays quickly, where you don't need an hour and a half or 2 hours to play, then this is a really good one. Again, I think you can play this game in a half an hour and you will have a good time playing it. And I think it's got a good amount of replayability because of those different mechanisms. You can play, it's going to be a little different every time you play based on those mechanisms that are available to you. So that's one thing. Those are a few things you need to understand if you're considering Mars Needs Mechanics. It's not heavy, but it's got enough to kind of feed that urge if you enjoy economic style games. So let's look at what some of the people on Board Game Geek have been saying about Mars Needs Mechanics, as I usually do. Now this just came out, so it doesn't have a whole lot of ratings yet. So that's one thing to keep in mind. This just hit the market. So we'll look at Pony. Pony has rated it only a 3, and Pony says, I played this at WBC a few weeks ago. I was drawn in by the large rocket ship as an intention getter and was told it was a game about sending a mission to Mars in a Victorian steampunk universe. Sounds cool, right? Who doesn't want to play a game where you explore Mars in a steam-powered spaceship? Don't get too excited, though, as it's actually just a watered-down market simulation that has pretty much nothing to do with space exploration or steampunk unless you count the pictures on the cards. So yeah, I think Pony makes my point. I don't think that's a reason to rate a game a 3 though, because it's the theme is it's not a thematic game, but it's an economic game, but they picked a theme that is more interesting. So I think that was a good decision. If they made it about automobiles, maybe you were selling and buying automobiles, people would say, well, it's not really connected to the theme that much. No matter what they used, people are going to say it's not thematic because it's really essentially a game about numbers, about buying low and selling high. But again, it's got these mechanism cards that make it more interesting because every one of them can change the game for you a little bit. So I think it's a shame that Pony would rate it so low just because he didn't like the theme. Now let's see some of the people that have rated it higher than that are not biased. Paul says, good market game with a bit of pasted on theme. It plays well in an hour, which is good for those that like a quick lunchtime game. So I think Paul kind of agrees with me. I think you can play this for well under an hour, actually. We played with 3 people, and it was definitely under an hour, and we had to really learn the rules because we had never played it before. So I think once if we play it again, I think we'll get to a half an hour. And Paul gave it an 8. Dave gave it a 7.25. Says he played with the designer at Origins. Unique, innovative market mechanic drives the game. Set collection and simple combo building completes it. Very strong entry into the family Euro category. Feels like it should be replayable. I agree. I think this game is going to have replayability. And he also mentioned something that I didn't. Its appeal to families. I think this is a great game. It's one I'm definitely going to be playing with my kids who are 10 and 7 years old. I think it's a game you can really start to teach your kids about market mechanics, about buying low, selling high. It will help them with their math. I mean, the theme has, rocket ships in it that they're going to find very appealing. So I know my son is going to enjoy this game, and it's going to be an opportunity for us to spend time together and an opportunity for me to teach him things that are important for his education. So that's a definite benefit of Mars Needs Mechanics. So if you are a family, if you're looking for a family game that has an economic basis, this is definitely one you should look at. If you like economic games or Euro games, I think you should look at this, especially considering the length is so short in this game. If you're looking for a market-driven or Euro-style game that plays in a small amount of time, this could fit a niche for you if you don't have one. So you should definitely check it out. If you only like heavier strategy games, this probably isn't going to quench your thirst. It's probably not going to be deep enough for you. If you're somebody who hates Reiner Knizia games, for example, because you find them too mathy, if that's something you've said before, this might be something that falls into that category that you're not going to like. If you do like the shorter Reiner Knizia games, I think you might want to play this. It has the same kind of feeling, but I think the theme is more interesting. A lot of people will say it's a negative that it feels pasted on, but I think it's a positive because I think the theme is pretty cool. Even though the mechanics aren't connected to the theme, I think the theme is cool, and it makes for a pretty game to look at while you're trying to figure out these math problems as you play the game. So that's it. That's what I think about Mars Needs Mechanics. I hope this review has helped you decide if it might be something you want to pick up. I definitely think it's something that you want to try, at least. If any of what I've told you sounded interesting to you at all, try it yourself and see if you like it. Like I said, I think you're only looking at 30 minutes to 45 minutes to play a full game of this. So it's definitely worth at least one try. Again, my name's Robert Burke. Thanks for watching episode number 33, and we'll be back again soon with episode number 34. Thanks for watching. Bye.